what is you all's musical background and what instruments do you all play?
Well, for me, before I started actually singing, I was playing the drums. I want to say that in my family, we are all basically musically inclined, so it wasn't really hard for any of us to adapt with singing or playing the instrument. But around 3, like me and Sam, we started playing the drums, and around the age of 7, that's when I actually started singing. And ever since then, I knew my purpose in life to give God the glory towards sharing my gifts with other people and touching people's lives, because that is what we are supposed to use it for. What about you?
Definitely, like you said, our family is very musically inclined, and that just happened to come on down to me. My father is the one that actually introduced me to music. He was a drummer before he was a keyboardist, and I remember being at the age of 2, I walked into my room and my dad had bought this little kid drum set, and he handed me the pair of sticks, and the sticks were plastic. You could press down on it, you could hear the air come out of it. And he was like, go ahead and beat on it. So I started beating, and as I got older, the licks started getting better, chops started getting more advanced, and by the age of 5, I was playing drums at a church that he was co-pastoring at the time here in Eden, North Carolina, called Mount Calvary Church of Deliverance.
And as for me, as well as them, my family's musically inclined. Growing up, I always liked playing music. I want to thank God for giving me that talent, because a lot of people, God doesn't bless them with the talent that we all have. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank God for that, and I hope He, continues to bless me and take me to different places, to touch other people.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I can agree with Sam when it comes to like my father introducing me to music itself, because it's not like you want to be like him, but like when you notice how much he loves what he's doing when it comes to singing or playing the keyboard and drums, you want to love that as well, because it's like magic, and it solves problems. Music solves problems when it comes to daily altercations. And with me, I know that music has brought me over a milestone. It can help you take over obstacles on a daily basis, and I'm very thankful for God giving me a gift, for giving us all a gift that we can share to other people, because music, it's a real thing.
So another question I would ask you all is, when and why did you start playing an instrument?
Well, as I said, 2 years old it started. Why? It just happened to be there. My dad just went ahead and gave it to me. Definitely as I got older, my why started to change. Now I play for the glory of God's kingdom, and I play simply because I love the music, and I love it in all forms with all instruments. Though I'm mainly a drummer, I started branching off into playing keys and doing some singing on the side. So much so that I started my own group, a quartet group called the Sons of Heaven. And the love of music and the way that I've seen it touch lives and the way that it's touched my life is why I play, and I continually want to grow, and I thank God every day for the gift.
Well, I started playing instruments at a very young age as well, and why I started playing, as a kid, everybody likes to beat on something. So I kind of, did that. I would go to class, I just couldn't be still. I would just like tap.
Yeah, got to tap.
So, eventually that, transferred over into like a drum set. And, I want to thank God for, what He's done and where He's placed me now. And I just want to thank Him for that.
Yeah. Well, the win for me, I I want to say I was around 3 when I started tapping on drums and everything. I loved it because I just grew into it, and it was more of a process for me. I took my time with it, and I learned what to do and what not to do when it came to playing drums. But I started also noticing other talents in me, like especially singing, around 5 or 6. But my first performance, my first audience singing in front of a church was when I was 7, and I believe I cried the whole time of that song. And because I guess I was a very nervous child, and I was pushed into doing that. But I'm glad I was. I'm glad my family pushed me, because the upbringing and the foundation is what brought us all here right now.
Definitely.
And I'm very thankful for that. And overall, it's all love. Music is love.
Definitely.
And that's the main reason why we are able to learn and grow in such a positive way.
So, going on. Oh, and if you all have any questions or comments, feel free to, comment anything. So, another comment or question would be, describe your first instrument, or what's your favorite instrument that you like to play?
Well, my first instrument was the little drum set, and the thing about it was completely plastic. Completely plastic. But somehow it had like these paper drum heads on it. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it was the snare was attached. Like everything was attached to the bass drum. I mean, everything was attached to the bass drum. And it didn't even come with a hi-hat. So it had like a snare, a bass drum, this little simple thing that didn't sound great at all.
Oh, Lord.
And like, and like a little tom that sat on the other side. So I was beating on that. And as I got older, as I started getting better, my father started buying me bigger and more advanced drum kits and whatnot. So,
well, my first instrument was the drum set. That gave me the introduction towards being a musician. But as I grew and got older, I want to say my favorite instrument is my voice, because I love to sing. It is a passion for me, and overall it's just a great feeling, and that's why I love singing so much. But yes, I'm open to playing drums. I play piano just a little bit. So what about you, G?
Well, for me, leaning off of what you all said, it would be the same for me. Another question would be, what advice would you give beginners that are willing to learn and willing to take that extra next step to, become a musician for God?
Well, I would say don't be quick to rush into a performance or to playing for a church. I can speak from the church perspective. You don't want to rush into it because you want to be in order. If you get up there and you don't know how to play lit, you can throw somebody off. And, the whole point of being in church is for somebody to grow their relationship with God and to be deep in the spirit, and for their spirit to strengthen and flourish. And, sometimes, music helps do that a lot, because a lot of times you hear the praise and worship team and the band before the speaker. So, you want to be able to play. And secondly, practice at home. We all started at home. As you'll hear different stories, we all started at home. We all started with our families. So, practice at home. Don't be quick. And just take it easy. Calm your crazy.
Well, the advice I would give to someone growing in the music industry is, don't, like Sam said, don't rush into it. Be patient. If you get something wrong, you get it wrong. But if you just keep on processing and learning from your wrongs, then you'll just be a better musician. It can be with singing, playing the drums. It can be with anything when it comes to music, because at the end of the day, you only have so much knowledge at the beginning. So just take advice from people who have already grown and who is still growing, but just at a different level from you are, because that's the point of us all being here together. We help each other process and go on higher, taking each step.
Definitely. Definitely.
So
yeah, as for me, I would give the advice. I would say, keep God first, and whatever you do, as far as instruments, singing, playing the drums, piano, whatever instrument you may play, just make sure you keep God first. Let Him direct you in every area that you are desired to walk in. Just walk by faith.
That's good.
So, do you all get nervous before you all play?
Well, for me, I don't necessarily get nervous because I've been performing for so long, but it's now at the point where I'm very anxious. I'm excited, and I start to feel the fire in my chest because I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready to go out on the stage and sing, because you're doing it for a purpose. And if I feel like if you don't feel some type of way at all when it comes to you performing for something, then you don't have a certain excitement for it anymore. You don't feel the urge to get on the stage and sing.
And I would say personally for me, I'm good until that first word comes out of my mouth. And even then, after that first word or that first sentence, everything dies back down, and I'm straight. So, like he said, it's not, you don't necessarily get nervous, because it's performing, or especially when you have a purpose, and that purpose being God, it's second nature. So,
well, we have a question on one of the comments. How can you stay motivated in the midst of adversity as a musician?
Well, one way I would stay motivated is, I would talk to God, tell Him, what would I, pray, fast, see what I have to do to take that extra step. I mean, because you don't want to, take the wrong approach to anything. So that's how I would handle the situation.
Right.
Being a musician in the midst of adversity, especially if there's some things going on in the church, it can be difficult. But I would say, one, don't focus on that and don't get involved.
Yeah.
Two, definitely pray and fast, as G has said, because even if all hell is breaking out around you in the church, though you're a musician, you're still a leader.
Right.
So if nobody else is going to uphold that standard, you uphold that standard.
With me, I realize that there are going to be a lot of obstacles, and sometimes in some churches it's a lot of negativity.
Oh, yeah.
It's a negative vibe. So you have to abstain that and, just go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. And that's how it is in life, because you're going to go through something every single day.
Yeah.
But when you're with God and when you have a strong head on your shoulders,
Definitely.
You learn to just avoid the negativity. Because I know it was for me, there were plenty of times I was playing the drums in service, and I just didn't like the way the pastor was so controlling and trying to go on every single level. For me, I'm like, if you're not playing a drum, if you're not being a musician, you need to stay on your own. You need to be separated. You just need to be on your own thing.
Yeah.
And just know that we're responsible enough to do what we got to do. And also, you just have to learn, a musician needs to learn how to not try to take over the presence in the sanctuary.
Definitely.
Like playing too loud or trying to do all of these riffs and runs on the organ. Just set the tone. because the musicians do set the tone in the church. They really do, because the praise and worship team, they'll come up first.
Yep.
They always come up first.
That's what starts the service.
Definitely.
You're starting the service, and you got to put on a positive vibe.
Yep.
Because if you do something wrong and you get mad over that one mess up, you just and be negative about it the whole time, people are going to see that.
Yeah. And believe it or not, people do react to stuff like that. Whether it's leaving the church or, you know, saying something, you know, and you find out later. But people do react to stuff like that.
Yeah, they can walk right out because they'll say, I don't like the way they're giving attitude.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of churches that have great worship, and the house is just full of power. But, you know, their praise team, their band might be crap, but they may not have one at all. And, you know, and because there's nothing really rock solid to set that tone, you know, you put more on the preacher because he has to usher in what the praise team or the band should be ushering in. So,
well, we have another comment in the commentaries. Why is that many musicians start off with the drums?
I want to say, going back to what I said earlier, everybody when they little, they're going to bang on something. Whether it's a pot, pan, bed, anything, really. But that's like a part of growing up. You know, me, as an example, me personally, like I said, you know, I banged on almost everything. So, I mean, it's not that growing up you want to play the drums. It's just like, it's like almost second nature or something. You feel me? So, I think that's what we are.
I would say it's the easiest, hardest instrument to learn. You know, starting out, you're not really thinking about anything. You just beating and just, you know, it might sound good, it might not. Yeah, it might sound good, it might not. But, you know, as you get older, you're like,
you realize.
Yeah, you realize, all right, I can do this. I can make this combination go together.
I was doing it all wrong. Though.
Yeah, I was doing it all wrong. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We have another question in the comments. Is it hard to minister in song when you are not emotionally in tune? I can answer that. Well, let's say if you're singing praise and worship and the choir or the people behind you is not on key, I will try my hardest not to show my true emotion, and me personally, I will do my best to listen to what I'm saying in the song. Because a gospel song, any song, has meaning in the lyrics. And it can be all different types of meanings. So, what about you all?
I would say, you know, and I can speak kind of from a quartet perspective. With me being the front man, you know, as you saying, you know, if your background is throwing off, you 9 times out of 10, you about ready to go off because you upset, or you know, the things around you can throw you off, and that can make it difficult. I recall a situation during last summer. Me and the group went to go perform somewhere, and you know, the people that were running the program were just trying to do too much. And then they got time for us to go up, and it just threw us off completely. And even then, you know, you want to know enough songs as a singer.
Yes.
Because sometimes what you may plan to sing may not be what's right for that atmosphere at the time. So, you know, you got to play off the surfaces. Sometimes, I hate to say it, you got to play off the people.
Yeah. So, you know, pretty much summed it up right there. Well, I think we got another commentary down there.
How can you help others that are not really into the church?
Well, people that's not in the church, I mean, I wouldn't, you know, go up to them hooting and hollering, you know, you need to be in church.
Yeah.
They can just push them away. But most, I would just say, look, this is how I got my life right. This is what I did, and you know, I'm willing to let God use me to help you. You know, so you can come into church and you can be a part of our worship experience. So that's how I would handle it.
And I'd use this kind of like fish hook type of thing. I'd be like, I actually did it recently, very recently. One of my boys, he was having a hard time, and I wanted him to come to church. So I was like, hey, why don't you come to church with me? He was like, nah. I was like, well, I played the drums over there. I at least want you to come and hear me play drums. And he was like, you know what, all right. So he came, and then, I was praying that the service would be good, and service was good, and the message was good. It was just what he needed. And, sometimes that can draw people in, You kind of get them going out there throwing that's almost like fishing. You throw a line and something good on the end that they might be interested in, and you reel them back in.
Yeah, because I know it's good to know a person before you actually decide on what to say to them.
Definitely.
Especially if it's someone who is far out away from the church. It's not good to force it upon them because they're already easily ready to be like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. A lot of people nowadays misinterpret things that's simple, but it's just the way you have to come to a person.
We have another question in the comments. Do you think that musicians spiritually suffer because they are not as invested in the service as the congregation?
Definitely. Nowadays, you see musicians, they're just there to play the music, get the check, and they out.
Yeah.
And also some of that comes with musicians not necessarily being stationary. A church home is very important to those in the congregation and to those that are musicians. And my parents taught me this, especially because I'm just now getting back into playing.
Right.
And I've started receiving requests for me to come and play. And, there would be some times where I would tell my parents, well, hey, I'm going here. And they'd be like, no, you need to be here. And they're teaching me how to be stationary. And how to be somewhere so you can, because it's not all about the music and you getting the check.
Yeah.
If you're going to minister, let somebody minister to you. So that's my piece on it.
Yeah. I would say the same as Sam, minister to others as, they would minister to you. So that's what I would say.
Well, with me, I like to say that another reason why musicians are so into suffering when it comes to paying attention to the service is because they're not even coordinated with the church.
Yeah. They
don't really connect with the church. Like you said, they come to play, to get the check, and leave. It's really good to find a church that fits you, because at the end of the day, it's always great to find the word for yourself. Just don't automatically go to a church because the pay is good.
Yeah.
Because then that'll come with a lot of issues. You wouldn't be able to connect with them.
You might end up going somewhere and hear some false doctrine.
Yeah.
And believe it too.
Yeah, or you might end up going somewhere and receive a spirit that's not so right. Because, believe it or not, there are some demonic spirits that reign very strongly in certain churches.
Because me growing up, I know that I would go with my dad and sing and play with my family at all different types of churches. And it's not like you gotta pick and choose, but at the same time you gotta have a backbone and know when you're listening to the right thing and when you're listening to the wrong thing. Because I love my brother, and I know that when we would sing together and then we'll get off the stage and we'll listen to what the pastor's saying, I'll look him and I'll be like, okay, is this right?
And there have been times where I've been asked to play, and I've been to the church before, and I know that certain things about the church ain't necessarily correct, but they were offering a pretty good piece of change. I just passed up on it because my spirit is worth a lot more to me than some piece of paper.
Don't give in.
So
don't give in at all. So we have another question. Do y'all feel like when y'all play, is that your way to give God His praise?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Because when you playing, with me, I just, I pray before I play.
Mm-hmm.
You anoint what you're playing, so you let God use you to use other people. So because you never know, your music might bring somebody else out of whatever they're going through.
Right.
Definitely.
I know for a fact that when I sing, I don't just sing the song. I'm actually ministering to other people, and normally they don't get that from anybody my age, and that's mainly because they automatically assume since they're young they can't connect with God like I can, and that is ignorance for me, because I know that's straight ignorance for me, because I know at the end of the day I have been through some things. I have come through some trials and tribulations. So I know when I get on the stage and I am performing, I'm singing a gospel song, I will do the best I can to not just let the people hear me, but let me listen to myself.
Definitely.
And what the song is saying. Because it is a word. It's the Bible. It's translations. And I like to translate my voice. I like to translate my gift and let other people listen to it and not just hear it. Not just be like, oh, okay, he can sing a few tunes. He know how to sing. It's not just about that. Not with me.
Yeah.
Because there's a meaning to everything.
And I would say also from a singer perspective, song choice is very important. You just don't want to sing something because it's popular at the time and it not mean nothing to you.
Right.
If the song doesn't mean nothing to you and you're singing it and you're trying to minister it to somebody else, they ain't gonna get nothing out of it. You might get one or two, but like if you're singing, if you're the front man and you're really feeling it and it's ministering to you, it's gonna touch a lot more people then, because they seeing how it's, because the spirit flows from place to place, from person to person. So
and going back to a singer perspective, song selection is like something major in a church, because based on the song you can really set the atmosphere. A lot of people not only come to church to hear the music, but like Josh said earlier, the words in a song can bring somebody.
Because if also the order of song, because if I were to do a praise list and I broke out with Bless the Lord by Ty Tribbett, and then hit him with Tamala Man, Take Me to the King, and then finish with He Turned Into Something, that's up and down, that's too much. So you want to be in order. A lot of times, and I'm just going to give an order for anybody that might be a young minister of music or a young praise and worship leader. You want to do it fast or slow, or at least fast to kind of like a medium pace,
and then slow at the end.
And then slow at the end.
Fast, medium, slow. Because
if you got everybody up, and it's nice to shout and whatnot, but if you got everybody up in the uproar before the pastor gets up, the pastor has to calm everybody down.
Right.
Like more, the slow songs is more like to soothe the congregation.
I feel like it puts people in a deep intellectual reason on why we're actually praising God. So when the first selection is something fast, upbeat, it gets people pumping, it gets them up and moving.
Gets them on board.
The middle song, alright, we're here. Slow song, that's when it's more of a worship.
Moving, spirit moving.
And I say if you go into worship before the speaker gets up, then everybody's already tuned in, because worship, it's not just the music. Worship is the message, and people trying to hear God's voice. And the angel of the house, the pastor, he is acting as God's voice at the time. So if you already got people in that mind state to get ready to hear from the Lord, they'll receive the message from the speaker a lot easier.
So we have another comment. Lucifer was the chief of musicians, and his pride got him kicked out of heaven. Do you think there is a connection with the church today?
Yes. We know a lot of musicians in this area and in other areas that are very, 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 very very prideful and cocky.
Mm-hmm.
And they're anointed and whatnot, but if they don't watch it, they'll wake up one day.
Take it away.
Yeah, wake up one day, you can't play a lick or sing a lick. So
because the devil can get the best of you when it comes to people boosting up your head. They'll come to talk to you after service, and they'll be like, "Oh, you can play. You one of the best players I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And I'm like, at the end of the day, you need to realize how to be humble and just give all the praise to God.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's good to acknowledge the fact that you're a good singer, you're a good player, but it's not all of you.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly God. Mm-hmm. Without God, you wouldn't be able to fiddle around with the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So just give thanks and be grateful, because not everybody has that gift.
Yeah. Somebody will be willing to,
Take your place.
Yeah.
Take it.
16. All right.
So a question I have for you all is, how do you handle mistakes during a performance?
From a drummer perspective, if you're playing and you tend to get off beat, you better think of a quick lick or chop or something to get back on beat. A lot of times, what I tend to do personally, if I were to make a mistake, I either do a build up or I do a lick or something, and I get back on track. Mm-hmm. But when you're making a mistake and you are, I call it licking that mistake, because you're chopping it or something to make it sound right. Don't make it advanced.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you might just have to just go with that mistake.
Yeah, but also, once you make the mistake, don't beat yourself up about the mistake, because that can just, throw off everybody.
Everybody. Definitely.
So we have another question in the comments. When musicians play praise break music, do you feel what the congregation feels? And if you do, how do you keep it in?
Well, it depends on where that praise break is in the service. If it's during praise and worship, and if it's during praise and worship, music-wise, as a musician, you're more free to do chops and licks, because then the people are pumping you up and you're pumping the people up.
Right.
I would say if it's during the sermon, play it straight.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if a praise break happens in the middle of a sermon, you got to remember that speaker is not done speaking yet. He might have a point or two left.
Oh, yeah.
So play it straight so you can go ahead and get it over with, so that the speaker can get back.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
It's always good to notice your mistakes, but just learn from them and don't automatically beat yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know at the end of the day, there were plenty of times when I was playing drums and, I was going too fast and my dad told me to slow down. I just go ahead and realize I was in the wrong and get it over with, because people talk.
Yeah.
You come after the service is over and they come up to you trying to tell you how to do your job.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I'll listen, because it's always good to inherit information, inherit advice. But if you're just automatically trying to beat me up about it, I'm going to avoid you, because you got to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 15 years old. I've been playing since I was 3. I'm still young. I'm still going to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It don't really matter about your age anyway, but yet people want to automatically put you on that pedestal of getting something wrong just because you are young.
And then again, it's like a maturity level, because you can be 50 years old playing the drums and you taking advice from a 16-year-old.
Right.
So it's not always, you have to listen to the elder. Sometimes the elder, because us youth, we can, God probably gave us the gift, to be more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, I feel, maybe, the elder, hey, I have some pointers, touch you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not out of, disrespect or nothing, but, just helping you out.
Yeah, and it's good to be diverse with what you can play. You know, because I came up, you know, it was gospel, traditional gospel, and now it's kind of nowadays it's this temporary gospel type thing,
urban contemporary,
where you play with a track, or it has a lot of transitions, and sometimes it has horns and stuff now. And you know, there were some songs that I have trouble playing with, and like you're saying, you, being younger and you teaching the elder, G is about a year younger than me. But he's more into the contemporary urban type thing. As for me, I came out the traditional gospel type thing. You know, when Hezekiah Walker was still big. You know, that's what I grew up with. And he, you know, and he's teaching me. And, you know, so definitely what you said is definitely true.
Hey, and learn from each other, you know, because, you know, God can have something for both of y'all to share. So don't always, you know, hey, you do this, but both of y'all can, you know, take stuff from different people. That's how you learn, get better.
Like I said before, we are all on a staircase, and we're helping each other take each step, each time.
Yeah, it's progression.
We have another question. So would you say the youth have a big hand in the evolution of music in the church? Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because, you know, we are the next to lead and the next to carry on. So, you know, as I've seen, and I'm 19 years old, you know, the transition from Hezekiah Walker to stuff like Ty Tribbett. So, you know, and that's nothing but generations passing through. So, definitely.
And I know being 16, people are already coming up to me saying that you're going to do this, you're going to do that, when it comes to prophecy.
Yeah.
I listen to it, I inherit it, because I know at the end of the day, we are the next generation to prove a message towards people as a whole. And music has a big impact in that. To the worldly issues, to you coming home and dealing with situations. It's just all this. It's not a game, but it's a passage that we all have to go through. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I have my family here being musically inclined and also having the right state of mind. Because you need that, most definitely, when it comes to having this type of gift. And some people don't necessarily have that. They have the gift, but they do not have the backbone, nor do they have the mental ability to progress.
One of the things I would tell, you know, people coming up, don't take, you know, music or your job for granted. Definitely. You know, do what you do, you know. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Oh, we got a good question in the comments. And it says it's the last question from him, so we'll see about that. How has music pushed you spiritually?
Music has pushed me a lot. Growth wise, spiritually wise, mentally wise. I mean, music has such an impact on me, you know. I feel that when I play, and like say a younger drummer, younger than me, I feel like, hey, I can, you know, minister to him to make him, you know, want to be better. So I definitely think so.
Well, for me, I've learned how to be patient. It's just a lot of maturity that has progressed in me from just performing. Like, when I'm singing, when I am in front of a crowd, it's not just about what they're doing, but it's also about what I'm doing and how I am connecting with God. Because I know for a shadow of a doubt, we can all say that when it comes to singing, playing drums, we feel the power in us. We feel that. We feel the Holy Ghost. We feel the Spirit. And it's all natural. It's nothing being pushed. It's no pump and prime.
Yeah.
And that's the main problem today. Everyone wants to pump and prime things. Everyone wants to force things to happen. If it's not there, it's not there. Accept it. Don't try to condone it. Don't try to deny it. Because it's just automatic. Nothing forced, nothing pushed. And it's either you feel it or you don't. It's no gift or no gift at all.
Definitely. And you two came up with good points. I want to bring up something that I think should be talked about. The relationship between preachers and musicians.
Oh yeah.
Amazing. How do you think that relationship should be structured?
A musician and a preacher should have a very strong relationship.
Definitely.
Very strong relationship. A very strong relationship. Because, but depending on the flow of the service, I mean, like musicians, we don't always direct ourselves. Like a pastor can, give us order. We can feed off the pastor. That's mostly, what pianos do. They follow the pastor. But yeah, I think.
And I would say, also during the thing of service, if a preacher is preaching and he gets to the point where he's excited and he's hooping, he might be you might be building him up.
Yep.
You
get excited,
and then all of a sudden he might cut you. And then he'll build you back up again. You just gotta, some of that is you have to know who you're playing for.
Yeah.
Cause I know personally, I just won't play for any preacher because the preacher is almost kind of like the band leader in a sense. The keyboardist or the organist is the band leader, but they're following the preacher. You know what I'm saying? Or the singer. So, you got to know who's in charge at the time of the service.
That's why I think it's always good to have a relationship with each individual of the musicians, because you can have a problem with one of the musicians and they do something on purpose just to throw you off.
Yeah.
And then it makes you look more stupid in front of everybody.
Yeah. Like if a preacher is, let's say a preacher doesn't have a good relationship with the organist,
right? And
the preacher is preaching in the key of C, and the organist is like, all right, I'm gonna put you in F, and that's up there. That's just,
it's petty and it's childish.
Yeah, it really is.
And it really is. That's why I'm glad that I have people around me who are on a high maturity level for our age. Because me being 16, I have to deal with people on a daily basis who have a lack of maturity, who have a lack of knowledge altogether, and they just say stuff and do stuff off the top of their head just to get attention.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that in the church as well. It's like that in musicians. It's good to be around people who are actually trying to make something positive for a good purpose.
Definitely. Another point I want to bring up, and this will probably be our last point. Should musicians get paid?
I mean, when we go to church to play, we're not. If God is using you, you're not worried about the pay. Because God is using you. But I wouldn't say that I have to get paid, but
it's an honor of token.
Yeah.
It's an honor of respect.
Yeah.
I think it's out of respect because when you are actually doing what you're supposed to do,
appreciation
and honoring God during the service, I think that the pastor should, give you a token of respect because he sees what God sees in you, and God is using you in that gift.
And I would say, like, don't play for the money, but know your worth. Because I played in churches that had a pretty good congregation,
right?
And I not being prideful or anything, but I know that I did what I was supposed to do in service and didn't even receive nothing. But I could go play at a church that has about 7 people in congregation and get no less than about 20 to 30 bucks just for appreciation and out of love.
But like, in closing, like, if you had to do it all over again, would you choose the same career or would you do it all differently?
No, I would do it all the same way.
Every experience, every mistake,
Oh yeah.
all of it. I keep it all the same.
Because it was an upbringing, you
Mhm.
know. We had to learn from our mistakes
To get better.
to get better. And that's the main beauty of overcoming the past issues.
Mhm.
Because once you actually get to where you are in life, you realize that all of those hurt, all of those issues, all those mistakes, it meant something.
Mhm.
Because every little thing happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that has been our first Youth Chronicles with the Impartation series. Be sure to like and share, and we'll have another one of these coming at you real soon. Thank you.
Thank you.